All right, so this is my VW 2005 GTI 1.8 turbo, and has a 5-speed manual. The interior is pretty stock. I've had the roof or the headliner redone. I've had some inserts. I put some cheap inserts in on the front. I could actually get them redone now that I know an interior person. Get them redone in cloth. I think that would be interesting. The seats have held up pretty well. The bolster on this driver's side is a little worn, but still has pretty good feel to it. I've removed a lot of the sticky interior. I don't know what you call it. It's almost like a, I don't know. It's like it gets gooey, so I use Gooby Gone and you wipe it all off. But other than that, the car has a refreshened suspension with polyurethane bushings. I have RPF1 17-inch inky rims on it with Michelin Pilot all seasons, mainly because I wanted to, this is a daily driver, I want to be able to drive it in the rain and it be like really fun to drive in the rain, and it is. I have a little Uniden radar detector, which are legal in Texas. And the car has 197,000 miles on it. I had the timing belt done around 184,000 miles, and just all general maintenance has been done on the car. So let's start it up. The air conditioning works on the car, which is nice being here in Texas. The shifter is missing its cap. I really wish it did have that. It would just take the interior up another level. I don't have an aftermarket stereo, but I have a little aux in that I use from the CD changer that's in the back. So I just ran a little wire up from the back, and yeah, let's get this thing out. Let's see how this does. So one of the things about College Station, Bryan, which is where I live, the roads are really bad. I mean, even this road right here that we go off on probably hasn't been paved in over a decade, and you can see here, like I'm about to turn, and there's just all kinds of non-regulated ways of how the roads are done. So this is a train track right here, and you can see, like, literally it's very uneven, and the roads have all these joists in them, all these potholes, and having a car that has a nice compliant suspension pays dividends in this area. So this GTI has done a really good job at just being a little commuter car. I've put about 13,000 miles on it. Like I was saying, I had the timing belt done. Well, I had the timing belt done right when I got it. I picked this up for a very inexpensive amount from a friend, and I've just really have enjoyed using it. It has been in an accident since I got it. Someone ran a red light in front of me, and I couldn't brake in time, and it was deemed their fault. So I ended up getting the hood redone, the front bumper redone. I had just put new headlights in, so they ended up just replacing the headlights again, which I guess was neither here nor there, because that cost me like $400 to get the headlights previous to that. So yeah, it's a cool car. I always wait for it to warm up, so you'll notice I'm just kind of driving very you know, these roads. I just kind of let it warm up and come to temperature, and so that's a lot of what I do. There's some like minor rattles, but nothing rattles heavily. The most things that I hear rattle are typically something related to the radar setup or the door panels. Also, that's kind of why the the replacement ones I put in, I think would be better served if I just redid them in cloth. But yeah, I got the front redone, and then the other thing I did when I had it in the body shop was I had them repaint the roof, and repainting the roof made a huge difference. It was really, really neat to get to have this car, which I got for just just a song, and get it repainted to the point where from 10 feet away it looks really clean, and then you get up on it and whatever hasn't been painted you can see. I mean, it has some wear on it. The rear bumper needs to be resprayed. Some of the side panels have some dents. Nothing heavy, but I mean, it's not perfect. The rims it had before were not factory rims, and so I decided I really wanted to get some new rims for it. And so the Inky RPF 1s are something I've always really liked. I got these in gold, and I didn't get 18s or 19s because because of the road, I wanted to have tires that still have some give in them. I know a lot of times we think we want the biggest rim and the biggest tire we can put on, but for a daily driver like this, I really want it to be comfortable to ride in and to have a nice compliant ride to it. I think if I were going to change something, I got the standard GTI shocks put into it when I had the suspension refreshed, and I think if I were to do it now, I would have, and it wouldn't have cost, it wasn't a huge price difference. I was just thinking I wanted a super compliant ride, but I think I would get the Bilstein B6 shocks. I think it would firm things up in a more compliant way, because again, I'm not like putting lowering springs or anything like that. It would just be a little firmer and give you just a little bit more assured of a feel of the road. This suspension has a ton of grip. I have no issues with grip on this setup, but it's a little more vague because of the fact that the shocks are so compliant, and so it kind of, I don't know, I think it would feel a little better if it had just a little bit stiffer of a shock. But in terms of turns, like, I don't feel like I need stiffer sway bars. It's literally just how it's tracking the road. I feel like if I had a stiffer shock, it would just, I don't know, if those of y'all that have had sports cars, maybe you know what I'm talking about, where it has this like kind of firm squish to it when you go over bumps, and this one just has a looser squish to it, and so I can deal with it, but it's just not. I think having the it has polyurethane bushings in all the control arms and some of the other suspension components, and so I think having that kind of it emphasized the feel of the shock. And I could be wrong, but I think it emphasizes the feel of the shock more. And so I think having a little firmer shock would kind of just make it all play a little nicer. Other things I'd like to do, I'd like to put an exhaust on this at some point, and I also think I'd like to just freshen the engine mount, transmission mount. I've done all of the fluids, but at some point I'll end up doing them all again. I'm like a big believer in just general maintenance to keep your car driving well, because this car, like, right now I think it's like in the 60s, but I was driving this in 110 to 120 degree days with extra humidity during the summer, and the air conditioning worked great, everything worked fine, I had no issues with overheating, and that's the kind of experience I want in a high mileage daily, is that like you get in it and you can drive it. And so that's just a really big part of why I've really enjoyed this car. This was originally a friend of mine's car. I had a 2007 Honda Civic SI when I became friends with him, and he had this car, and I ended up selling my Civic, which I totally regret. But he was just letting this thing kind of just sit in front of his house because he had gotten another car, and I was like, if you ever want to sell this thing, let me know. And sure enough, he did, and I took it up, and yeah, I've been driving it since. And so, you know, this is like a commute road that I take a lot, and it's a pretty good, lively road. But it's definitely has its joists and all kinds of other issues going on. So yeah, that's this car. Like I said, I really enjoy it. I clean the interior constantly. I clean the engine bay. I clean the exterior, and yet I daily drive it and park it outside. So, you know, it's something that, well, you know, always looks good, and when you wash it and get it cleaned up, it looks just that much better. Right now, I haven't washed it in about a week, so it has some dust on it, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have any major issues. But yeah, I mean, you can get on it and it pulls fine. And you know, I'm in an industrial area, so I'm not gonna go crazy, but you can see this car just, I don't know, it's a great performer. It's nostalgic, you know. At this point, it's almost a 20-year-old car, and it's a lot of fun in back roads, and it gets relatively good gas mileage in the 20s, and you know, it has a turbo, so you definitely have some torque. It doesn't feel underpowered. It definitely doesn't feel overpowered. It does not have a limited slip differential. I think that if I was like somehow just had extra money and wanted to spend $2,000 or whatever it is to put a limited slip in, that would take this car to just a whole nother kind of level. But yeah, I don't know if y'all have questions, comments. I mean, what are y'all's experience with this car? I know a lot of people modify them heavily. Like I said, my goal was just to create a car that allows people to have a good time and get around. I've lent this car out to for people to drive, and that needed a car to just get around in, and they really enjoyed it. Drove it all over Central Texas, and so yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll probably include some exterior shots, so enjoy.